All right, this is it. This video will finally get us to the end of season 5 of Welcome to Plathville. Just like in part 1, this script was written as I was watching the show, so there may be moments that I ask questions or make statements based off information I didn't know at the time. I don't know what's about to happen. If this is your first time coming across one of my videos or you have no idea who the Plath family is, I highly recommend checking out my previous videos. I've rewatched both seasons 1 and 2 of TLC's show Welcome to Plathville, and I will be starting season 3 shortly. All right, let's start watching season 5, episode 7. In an attempt to meet new friends and keep herself busy while in Minnesota, Olivia begins working toward her bartending license. She is still a wedding photographer, but wanted something she could do close to home. The clips of her pouring her first beer are hilarious because that was me. This past summer, I volunteered to work concessions at the Ed Sheeran concert, and I could not pour a beer to save my life. I think the tap sucked because, everyone was struggling, but mine were so bad. And after a while, I just kept asking someone else to do it for me.
I might not do this right. Somehow mine has a lot of foam.
At the original Plath farm, Kim and Isaac are discussing the things that they need to get done to turn the farm into a wedding venue. This time alone leads Kim to revealing to Isaac that she has a boyfriend. You know, the guy Isaac is close with, worked with, and owns a plane with. The guy that Isaac unintentionally introduced to his mother. Let's see how this goes.
I've been dating Ken.
Okay, I kind of put 2 and 2 together, but also I just had a little suspicions. I wasn't sure, but it doesn't surprise me.
Although that went better than I expected, it's clear Isaac's hurt by it. He tried to take the focus off of him and just ask him if she's told his other siblings yet. Kim explains that she wanted to tell him first since he's the one that has a relationship with Ken.
I do appreciate that they put my feelings into consideration or just wanted to make sure I was okay with it.
In Minnesota, Olivia has her sister, Lydia Grace, and Lydia's boyfriend, CJ, over for Christmas. Ethan suggests they played 2 truths and a lie.
I've looked at beans that came out of the gray water pipe that were different colors.
What did this man just say?
I've looked at beans that came out of the gray water pipe that were different colors. I almost got my little brother to pee on an electric fence, and I put my finger of a cow.
In revealing the lie, Olivia tells a crazy joke. She knew the cow one was a lie because Ethan hates butts.
I love butts, and he won't do anything.
In Tallahassee, we get the pleasure of joining Kim on a date, and she asks the age-old question.
Would you call me your girlfriend?
Oh, definitely.
I'll give it to Kim. She seems happy with Ken. But from the season previews, I already know many of the kids are not going to be okay with her dating. I don't love how fast she moved from telling her children she was getting divorced to dating. It's her right, but it just sucks for the kids to adjust to big news that quickly. Barry reflects on his 25-year marriage having ended.
Part of me gets angry at the fact that this is happening, and then, just being sad. And then I'm just like all alone, in some respects.
He talks about how depression and negative self-talk began to trickle in, but he knew it wasn't the path or mindset he wanted to have. He also mentions wanting to keep his anger at Kim at bay.
I gotta stay sane and move forward.
Mariah updates us on some new ink.
This Bible verse, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. It's not done yet, but that's that tattoo.
I am so confused why it's oriented that way, but I guess I'll just wait for it to be done. Mariah also updates us on her relationship with Ethan, but first reflects on their relationship growing up.
He definitely was the one that bullied me the most, but I'm finding my voice. These things are not okay. You cannot treat me like this.
I empathize with Mariah a lot here. It can be so easy for parents and even outsiders to see a child teasing their younger sibling and brush it off. But those things still affect a person. When you hear something negative about yourself for so long, you begin to believe it, and it makes it so hard when the adults around you are telling you to just let it go and move on, or that they were just kidding and it doesn't matter. While FaceTiming Micah, Mariah admits she should probably apologize for how she handled the situation involving her music. She tells Micah she reacted out of fear instead of logic. She also thinks Olivia did specific things to get that reaction out of her. So she's still at a standstill with that situation. Mariah also still has Ethan blocked, so he couldn't reach out even if he wanted to. Micah's perspective on it all is that he is over trying to fix stuff. So he has a relationship with all of his siblings, but not everything has been resolved, and he hasn't talked to Ethan much over the last few weeks. This next scene is probably one of the hardest to watch, just out of complete disregard. This event occurs when Ethan drives Olivia, Lydia Grace, and CJ on a snowy day in Minnesota to go sledding.
I've been in several very traumatic car accidents, and I don't like the feeling of my body in a car that feels out of control to me.
I'm not kidding. I would like to get out.
Why?
Because this is not fun for me.
Ethan, not at all understanding the issue here, tells Olivia what he'll do next time they're together, and he wants to do a donut.
Okay, so in the future, I'll say, I'm going to do a donut. You have 20 seconds to get out.
What? Why is the time so short? Why are donuts more important than your wife feeling safe? Why can't you just do donuts when you're driving alone? How are you making this make sense in your mind? This next moment is what really got my blood boiling.
You're in a car for how many seconds?
I don't care about the
10,
logic.
20 seconds?
I don't care about the logic.
You're going to make that big of a deal out of it?
Yes.
Are you so sensitive that being in a car doing a donut for 30
Off. I don't want to talk about this. I
having an
don't
impact on you today?
want to talk about this. I'm done.
Okay, well, that's the way I see it, and I'm not moving because I'm a stubborn individual.
I'm stubborn too. I like to be right, trust me. But my God, if my husband was scared and triggered by something that I was doing and he clearly communicated it to me, I'd be done doing it instantly. It could actually be a stranger asking me to stop, and I would. Thankfully, Olivia was able to set her anger aside that day and just have fun sledding with everyone. I give her credit because this scene angered me so deeply. The utter disrespect for someone you supposedly love, that just might have ruined every good feeling I've ever had towards Ethan. The last 2 minutes of the episode is a sneak peek of the rest of the season, so I skipped all of this because I've seen some of it and I mostly just want to go in blind. So here comes episode 8. In an attempt to start new traditions, Kim brings most of the kids out to a Christmas tree farm to get their first Christmas tree.
I still believe that December 25th is not Jesus' birthday. I still don't believe in Santa Claus, but I'm to a point where I just want to have fun with my children.
For Christmas Eve, Olivia, Ethan, Lydia Grace, and CJ are opening gifts. Olivia decided to give CJ a gag gift and had asked Lydia beforehand, and honestly, it was just a silly and stupid gift that CJ laughed about. The reason I even mention this is because in the interview portion, Ethan is so rude to Olivia about it.
I wouldn't recommend gifting a sex toy to family members or anybody. It was weird.
Yeah, I am weird. I thought they'd like it.
It's okay that Ethan isn't comfortable about the gift because he isn't the one who gave or received it. To sit there and make your wife feel dumb for having gifted it is annoying. You can tell she felt defensive when he said that. Continuing on with their holiday, Ethan makes breakfast with a nasty twist.
Unfortunately, the worst thing that I could think of was chicken seasoning with whole pepper kernels.
What? I have like whole black pepper kernels in mine.
And the reveal.
How did you know I would eat this one?
I didn't. It was a game. You got it.
Back at Kim's apartment, they begin putting up their new tree. They went for the giant tree, so their base isn't holding it up very well.
Ta-da!
Then Mariah asks a phenomenal question.
Why is it Merry Christmas, not Happy Christmas? You don't say Merry Birthday, you don't say Merry Valentine's Day. It's just Merry Christmas. Why?
Then Kim answers Isaac's question completely wrong.
Do you put the star on last?
It doesn't matter.
Realistically, it doesn't matter, but who doesn't love finishing their tree by putting the star on top? Celebrating Christmas on his own, Micah decides to hit the slopes and go snowboarding.
The roads are completely iced and snowed in.
While waiting for the road to reopen, Micah decides to try and call Ethan, who doesn't answer. I'm not sure if Ethan is ignoring him or just busy. To be fair, it is Christmas Day and Ethan's at the Plath grandparents' house for the day, so Micah just decides to call Barry. Barry is spending Christmas alone too. He talks about how he had a traditional childhood with trees and presents, but as an adult, he came to realize Jesus wasn't born on December 25th, and he decided not to celebrate. If that decision makes him happy, then carry on, my guy. I just find it funny. Most of my life, even as a Christian, I knew December 25th wasn't an accurate date of Jesus' birth. However, that didn't prevent me from celebrating what I deemed to be the miracle of my Savior being born. You don't have to do the tree or presents to honor Jesus' birth, even if it's on the wrong day. I mean, the LDS claims that Jesus was born in April, so obviously Aries is the supreme star sign. The street opens back up and Micah heads up the mountain. As an absolute lover of the mountains, I am so jealous that Micah can snowboard. I live in Colorado and ski frequently, but snowboarding just didn't make sense to me. I tried for about 2 hours and was so exhausted that I had to switch back to my trusty skis. Micah also chose a beautiful POW day to go.
Look at this. Holy.
In Minnesota, Ethan takes CJ out to a cigar lounge while Olivia and Lydia Grace stay back and hang out. Olivia and Lydia talk about how they were jealous of each other's paths for a while. Lydia jealous that Olivia had a husband that could take care of her and be with her versus being alone. Olivia jealous that Lydia was brave and capable of going off and doing it on her own and not rushing things. Olivia also mentions that she doesn't want a child yet because her and Ethan have yet to agree on what a good and stable home for that child would look like. Ethan and CJ have a similar conversation.
As far as like me and my fundamental beliefs and the way I see the world and right and wrong and all that stuff, that hasn't changed and it never will change.
The differences in these two conversations is telling me a divorce announcement is coming. Ethan is completely stubborn and set in what he believes. Olivia is open to things and questioning and learning. It doesn't make for a strong relationship, and I'm so glad they haven't brought children into the equation yet.
And I would say that faith definitely has played a big part in my relationship with you and my commitment to you.
I don't agree with that. I don't hold that for myself.
I don't love how she interrupted him here, but his reaction to her reply isn't great either.
Got a problem.
Why? Because I don't agree with you?
Well, I mean, that's a big thing.
I don't have to agree with you.
Olivia and Lydia's conversation continues.
Do you think you'd be healthier by yourself or with Ethan?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Olivia elaborates in an interview.
And the more I deconstruct all the beliefs around marriage that I was taught growing up, the more I feel kind of confused about what should I expect out of a relationship.
Here is another moment I don't entirely relate to, despite having gotten married young and as Christians. I was raised by two parents that stayed together for the kids. I saw the fighting and the constant struggle of a relationship that was so clearly not working. The relationship changed my view on marriage forever, despite what the church told me about marriage. I believe that I vowed to love my husband, but I did not vow to love him forever unconditionally. Ultimately, people are allowed to change, and none of us can predict who we will be in the future. My relationship will always include open communication and honesty. I obviously hope we stay together forever and ever, but I will not promise to stay with someone I do not yet know. The health of the individual determines the health of the relationship. So if it becomes one-sided, a divorce just makes sense to me. I appreciate the time and effort Olivia and Ethan put into their relationship, but it's time to call it. Unfortunately, due to copyright, I can't show all the hard-hitting questions Lydia Grace hits Olivia with, but here's how it ends.
Like, I don't want to look back at my life with regret and be like, wow, I walked away when I could have stayed and made it work.
Does that outweigh the regret that what if I would walked away, life would have been better?
As I'm editing this, I realized I forgot to mention that between episode 8 and 9, which 9 we are about to start, Olivia and Ethan posted on Instagram that they will be splitting. If you want to know more about that post and just kind of what happened in real time versus on the show, check out my last video. Episode 9 opens with Ethan and Olivia ice fishing in Minnesota.
Aw, hi.
While fishing, Olivia mentions their potential trip up to Georgia.
I do have a couple cars down in Georgia that I still have to get, and Olivia wants to go down with me, but I have a few reservations.
He goes on to say that bringing Olivia around the family always makes the conversations more confrontational than what Ethan wants. He also says he doesn't want his family to think Olivia speaks for him or that he's her little puppet. To be honest, I think he's right. Kim and Olivia both get heightened emotions around one another and don't seem to be capable of agreeing on things. Unfortunately, I think Olivia needs to accept she most likely won't be in any of the Plath children's lives for a while. Maybe once they're older and choose to connect with her? Speaking of the Plaths, after yapping and yapping about being scared to tell them, Kim finally tells Mariah and Lydia that she's dating someone.
I'm dating someone.
I genuinely cannot tell if this is edited or if this was their genuine reaction, but they are pissed.
I do struggle with the fact that you're, dating.
Yeah.
I don't support that.
How does Lydia feel about it?
I can't support this. I can't say I agree with it, but I love you and I want to be here for you.
Yeah.
I definitely expected that from Lydia, but Mariah surprised me. I don't disagree that Kim found herself a serious relationship very quickly, but I also believe people have a right to be with people who make them happy. It's just hard when they're also parents. In California, Micah is cooking a delicious chicken dinner for his vegetarian friend, Capiche. Unfortunately, Micah doesn't know what vegetarian means.
Vegetarian means you just eat vegetables?
Here's Capiche's reaction.
I'm vegetarian, bro.
Their other friend, Hayden, then asks a ridiculous question.
I forgot, do you like spicy? No, right? I'm Indian. Yeah, so then yeah. We live on spices.
What a goofy group of guys. After several months of not talking, which I think it was mostly because Ethan was busy with the move, Ethan calls back Micah. During this call, Ethan asked Micah if he would want to meet him in Georgia and drive to Minnesota with his car together. The moment Ethan asked this, I remember seeing an Instagram post of them doing this. That post was from March 12th of this year. I mean, it's not an absurd amount of time, but it is wild that we're watching events that occurred more than 7 months ago. Now it's been made clear that Ethan does not want Olivia going to Georgia with him, but does this also mean he's going to go see his entire family, including Mariah? Or what about Kim? The conversation continues, and Ethan asks if Micah would be willing to talk with Olivia once they got to Minnesota.
I mean, I'm down to say hi. How she's been. I feel like we've all tried to have arguments, get over things, and hash things out, but never gotten it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I no need to do that again.
In Cairo, Mariah is visiting after Christmas and decides to go to Isaac for some advice.
What do you think I should do? Because I feel like I should just shoot him a text and be like, very simple, I love you, I forgive you, I'm here if you want to talk.
Now, as someone who has laid boundaries between myself and my family, I would not be happy with the I forgive you part. Mariah clearly messed up and even admitted that. So to make the text seem like you're being the bigger person while also not owning your mistakes isn't great. She also, unfortunately, has given Ethan zero opportunity to apologize or talk it out because she blocked him. Thankfully, to text someone, you do have to unblock them, so Mariah does. And Ethan replied about how I expected.
He said, okay, thanks. What are you forgiving me for?
The show cuts over to daytime at Olivia and Ethan's apartment. Olivia just found out Ethan changed the plans they had made for Georgia, and he would be going with Micah instead.
Hi. What are you doing?
It turns out Ethan called Olivia while she was out of town to tell her he spoke to Micah, but that he didn't make plans for Georgia. Ultimately, he lied to her. I think, honestly, she's justified in her anger. Olivia also tells Ethan she doesn't want Micah at their house once they get to Minnesota.
And my home is also the place where I need to feel safe.
He's not a damn terrorist.
I get Ethan's frustration, but the move to Minnesota was to temporarily separate from Ethan's immediate family. It has only been a few months, so let Olivia have a peaceful home. And the disrespect doesn't end there from Ethan.
What do you mean a safe space?
A place where I feel safe to be myself, to express.
That makes no sense to me. So stupid.
This is her husband. Watching moments like these, I do not understand the people that side with Ethan. Olivia has not been perfect, but she has been hurt. She's doing her best to communicate her wants and needs to get past the hurt. And her husband is saying, that's so stupid. He's so stupid. Ultimately, Ethan wants a relationship with his family again. Olivia doesn't want to associate with people that hurt her. That means Ethan must now choose his family or his wife. And based off Instagram, he chose his family. And now, episode 10. In Minnesota, Olivia goes out to lunch with a friend and talks about how she no longer believes in her vows.
I vow that I will listen to you, respect you, value your opinion as my own, and look to you as the leader in our home.
She also mentions how Ethan wants kids, but not with her.
His position is he doesn't want a kid that's like me. He doesn't want a kid that thinks what I think politically or socially.
What's wild to me is this isn't a new thing Ethan expressed. He felt like this way back in Cairo when they temporarily split and then got back together. The feelings died for a bit and are now back. Now, I'm sad to hear just how much time and effort was put towards fixing an unhealthy relationship. Ethan loves the idea of the young girl he met in his late teens. He doesn't love Olivia, at least not romantically. Also, I think Olivia will make a great mom one day. Shit, I'm starting to get that parasocial feeling where I would actually love for her to be like a sick-ass aunt to my kids. In Cairo, Ethan sits down with Barry and gets invited to a boys' trip in LA.
Yeah? You want me to go?
If you can go, go.
At Mariah's apartment, Lydia and her are listening to old songs the family used to sing, and it leads Mariah to reflect on her relationship with Ethan.
Ethan was the one that I went to when I needed somebody to stand up for me and I couldn't.
So, just a few episodes back, Mariah was saying Ethan was her biggest bully. Now he's her biggest advocate. Both can be true, but I don't love how she changes her descriptions of him to validate her current story within the show. It's giving me whiplash. We hear more about what happened when she texted him the other night.
And he responded to that text and then called me like a few days later. He's mad at me. So I just told him, don't speak to me like this, and I blocked him.
I thought the whole point of that text was to signify she was ready to talk, and as she said, that she forgave him, so I'm confused. Mariah then goes on to say she feels like all the things that have happened are her fault. While I don't think she's innocent, I also don't think that's even close to the truth. TLC picked this family because they saw a mess to begin with. Lydia says it well.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but in no means was it you or only you.
But Mariah's convinced.
I think it was, and I don't think you can change my mind on that.
I think I've said this in almost every Plathville video I've made, but Mariah needs to get a therapist. It's not uncommon to blame yourself for your parents' divorce or to feel like your big emotions, especially in your teen years, was a burden to your family. But Mariah, you are not the sole problem of this family. If anything, most things I've critiqued you on have been the effects of being raised in this family, not a cause of further damage. At Kim's apartment, she tells Amber about Ken, and Amber responds well.
It may not be exactly what I want, but I mean, you're my mom, I love you, and I'm going to support you in whatever you do.
Amber seems so sweet. I'm glad we have been seeing more of her. On their road trip, Ethan and Micah start talking about Mariah's music and the situation with Olivia. Micah mentions that Olivia was holding Mariah's music for ransom, and I was pleasantly surprised to see Ethan defend her.
I can tell you 100% Olivia was not holding the music as ransom to get Mariah to do something or not do something.
And that concludes the episode. It's December 4th. The season finale comes out tomorrow, and I'm 3 episodes behind. So here's episode 11. The road trip continues, and Ethan is already lying again.
I didn't say anything to Micah about Olivia's firm decision that Micah can't come by the apartment because I haven't fully decided what I'm going to do.
What do you mean, my guy? Olivia said she doesn't want him there. She is your wife, and that is her home too. What is hard to understand here? Micah can go stay at the grandparents' house. At Mariah's, Barry is visiting and they're catching up. Mariah talks about how she attempted to reach out to Ethan and it backfired on her, so she doesn't know what to do yet. She also reflects on her brother Joshua's death and admits that if something tragic happened to Ethan, she wouldn't be happy with how things ended. She feels differently about her relationship with Olivia.
Yeah, there's a lot more damage, I guess, there between Olivia and I than there is Ethan and I.
The scene transitions to Mariah's ballroom dance competition, and the show makes the entire back dialogue about Kim dating. I found this super annoying as this is Mariah's moment, and it has nothing to do with Kim and Ken.
But I mean, there are times through the whole process of divorce that I'm just like angry at her.
Back on the road trip, Ethan continues to lie.
Have you talked to Olivia about what we're going to do? If she wants to hang out? I don't really know what she wants to do.
Ethan needs to grow up and learn how to have hard conversations. Micah and Olivia both deserve his honesty. Also on the road trip, Mariah calls Micah trying to talk to Ethan.
I've loved you in the past just because I'm really trying to figure out how to stand up for myself. I don't want to be yelled at, but I do want to talk through things with you.
Ethan isn't having it.
I think it's a little bit dishonest and it doesn't take into any account why I'm annoyed.
Ethan tells her that he's frustrated about her moving out suddenly, frustrated with her accusing Olivia of stealing Mariah's music and the money that was made off of the music, and then all of the things that he did for her just to basically stab him in the back.
I mean, I'm not going to apologize for something I'm not sorry for.
Mariah then takes the opportunity to apologize for the music situation.
Honestly, I freaked out and I overreacted, and I'm sorry.
Okay, well, I forgive you for that.
However, she does get called out for the social media post about the credit card.
The credit card thing.
What?
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
I just think that the whole thing's really messed up. We're family. Why is it this way?
The conversation ends with Mariah saying she loves him, Ethan just saying goodbye, and then storming out of the car. I don't think these two will be fixing things anytime soon because of how bad both of them are at communicating. Mariah says she won't apologize and then immediately does, and Ethan shuts down the second that things get emotional. An absolute train wreck is what I would call it. As if the car ride couldn't be more intense, Olivia texts Micah and tells him she would like to meet so that they can try and clear the air. Micah is conflicted because he doesn't want to go alone, and he also doesn't feel like there would be any progress made. He decides to tell her no, but that he would be down to hang out.
Hi, Olivia. Yeah, I'm up here till tomorrow. I would love to see you and hang out as a group. I want to keep things light and happy since I rode 3 days up here and I'm leaving so soon.
I can understand why Micah would want to keep it light, but if I were in Olivia's shoes, I couldn't do it. That would just feel so fake and awkward. They both have some pretty big grievances toward one another, and to just hang out would be like torture. For me, at least. Olivia calls Lydia Grace and explains the situation to her. Lydia asks what she would do if Micah were to walk into the apartment. Olivia gets a bit more intense with her tone and admits she won't be going to the bar with Ethan and Micah because she isn't capable of keeping it light and happy.
But if you came into my space, bets are off.
And the episode ends on this intense note. Episode 12 begins with Kim dropping the girls off at Barry's, and I think she makes a very valid point about the credit given to involved fathers versus mothers.
Now all of a sudden he steps up and does a little bit and he gets all the praise and all the credit.
I think we've all heard a woman in our lives say or feel this way. Or maybe you yourself have felt this way. It's frustrating and not something I ever want in my relationship if we ever have children. To also be fair though, it seems Kim and Barry played the traditional roles of a wife and husband. I mean, I would guess that Barry had to work quite a bit to feed that large of a family. I wonder if he would have stepped up and been this involved with the TLC money and without the divorce. Meanwhile, Ethan and Micah have made it to Minnesota. Micah decided to spend the night at their aunt and uncle's to respect Olivia's wishes. At the bar, though, he tells Ethan his truth about how he now views Ethan and Olivia's marriage.
If I was to get married, I would hate for my marriage to look like this.
I have a hard time deciding how I feel about this comment. For one, I agree with him. These last few episodes and the differences between Ethan and Olivia are revealing, and I see how they eventually decide to get divorced. But also, I don't think it was Micah's place to say something that harsh when Ethan is still married and has not even planned to separate from Olivia. Also, considering how close Micah was to Olivia in the past and how much she helped set him up to where he is now, especially with modeling, I just think it's an unfair comment. The following day, Ethan and Olivia talk about the road trip and share their feelings on the different things that went down. They decide it's their moment to dig deep into what is going on between them and what they want.
Now you've changed so much that I can't relate to you, and I am extremely frustrated about that.
Olivia responds,
How did you think that I would be curious about the world and be the exact same person I was when I was 18?
I relate so heavily to Olivia here. A huge part of moving out and being on your own is exploring the parts of you that you maybe haven't been able to yet. To freely ask questions without your family telling you what they believe and encouraging or forcing you to think the same way. Olivia hits him hard with this next statement.
When we were dating, I specifically thought you respected me, and I looked for that because my dad didn't.
Unfortunately, TLC pulled the classic cut to commercial break, and when they came back, not picking up where they left off, so we'll get back to that discussion in a bit. In exciting news, Barry is in the land of the libs, visiting Micah in Cali with Isaac.
I never knew California could be so dope.
All right, back to Olivia and Ethan. Olivia shares a story of when they were dating. They had a fight, and Ethan drove 17 hours to her just to apologize and talk to her for an hour, then just drive back another 17 hours.
And then we get married and it all changes.
Ethan says his two big points that he won't compromise with Olivia on are him wanting to raise his children to love God and love America. Where I struggle to understand is why he remains with Olivia if that boundary for him is so firm. Is he only holding on to the person she once was, or at least who he thought she was?
If I did not answer yes to everything on your list, I couldn't have your kids, I couldn't be your wife, it wasn't gonna work out.
Olivia finally says what they've been dancing around. She doesn't see the longevity of their relationship. She then acknowledges the weight of the conversation and excuses herself to give them space to think.
Maybe get a therapist or something and talk to someone else instead.
Ethan, if you really care about Olivia and this relationship the way you claim, you wouldn't be so goddamn stubborn about talking to a licensed professional about this. Stop being so scared of emotions. It has destroyed so many relationships in your life. Instead, Ethan makes the decision to join his dad and brothers on their trip to LA. I hate this post-interview comment from Micah.
So Ethan's here, which means he put his big boy pants on. He made his own decision.
All right, Micah, we get it. You hate Olivia. But my God, she never had that much control over Ethan. A wife has a right to share her thoughts and opinions about what her husband does, but Ethan hasn't respected her in years and constantly does what he wants. Funny enough, Ethan actually didn't tell Olivia until he was leaving for LA. And that's where they leave us for episode 12. Episode 13 starts with Ethan being a buzzkill as usual. They're all going surfing and Ethan just doesn't want to. His inability to leave his comfort zone is so annoying, but thankfully Micah convinces him to at least try. Now, I grew up in the Chicago suburbs, so I don't know shit about surfing. I just don't feel like this looks right. While the boys enjoy their trip, Lydia takes the younger girls on a trip to Nashville to record her album. Mariah is also recording music. In this clip, she's working on her newest song, Circus.
I can explain everything that this year has put me and my family through, but this song sums it all up.
You say I let you down. I say give me the freedom to change.
There is such a strong parallel of that lyric in what's happening between Ethan and Olivia. The song is Mariah speaking to Olivia, but I think Olivia could say the same statement to Ethan. In Florida, Kim's at Ken's house and he pops the big question.
You know, I have spare bedrooms and you're more than welcome to move into one of those.
Oh, not that big question, just a big question. In LA, Barry and Ethan broadly talk about their marriages and what they've both learned in these hard times. Both agree they're horrible communicators and didn't, and in Ethan's case, still don't, provide for their wives' needs emotionally. At the same time, Olivia is coping with a trip to Florence, Italy. Oh, to travel as much as she has. One important quote Olivia says that I can't include due to copyright was, Ethan believes they come out a blank slate, and it's your job as a parent to indoctrinate them and make sure that they believe everything you believe when they grow up. Because if you don't, and if they make a different choice as an adult, you failed as a parent.
I don't want to recreate the world I grew up in, and he does.
In classic Plath fashion, Micah held important information from Ethan and revealed it far too late for what I deem okay. The following day, Mariah will be in LA for work, and Micah wants her to stop by the place that they've been staying at.
I was looking forward to a trip away from some of my problems.
Although I hate how Micah sprung this last minute, I can't help but love that Ethan's run away from his problems trip wasn't exactly successful. This is also the first time Ethan will be seeing Mariah in person since before he left for Europe with Olivia. So that's like 9 months. After several minutes of Mariah trying to have small talk and Ethan being distant, he finally asks if they can talk privately. Ethan's first question is about why she moved out so abruptly.
When I moved out, I had about probably 20 days on the lease, and I had already paid that month.
Okay, so based off that information, she never actually did owe Ethan rent. They probably expected her to be on the new lease, but if she wasn't, she has no obligation to pay. Ethan then asks about the social media posts. Unfortunately, the episode ends there. We've made it to the end. This quite possibly could be the series finale, but it's definitely season 5's finale. Continuing the Ethan and Mariah conversation, he makes sure to stop Mariah from continuing to make Olivia the scapegoat.
You had a problem with Mom before Olivia came into the picture. You and Olivia bonded over that problem.
Well said, Ethan. Based off the Instagram post, it seems Mariah never really knew the pain Kim caused Olivia. But now Mariah's mad Olivia wants to remain far away from Kim while Mariah wants a relationship with her mom again. While discussing the music issue, Ethan reveals some information no one seems to know.
You and Olivia were on the laptop at the counter, and Olivia said, "This is the username and password," and you said, "Thanks, now I can access this while you're gone."
Mariah completely denies that from ever happening, or at least her remembering it. Ethan then talks about how after getting married, Kim's behavior towards Olivia completely drained the newlywed joy they had, and Micah and Mariah never saw any of those things. Although it seems Ethan and Mariah are agreeing to be more peaceful, this conversation didn't seem to get them where they should probably be. Mariah is dead set on blaming Olivia, and Ethan seems to ignore some of the hurts Mariah is expressing. While in her classic little prayer closet, we do find out some big news about Lydia.
I've actually been dating someone for quite a while.
All right, Lydia. You'll be married in no time. Once Barry returns back to Cairo, Kim comes over to begin organizing and splitting things up between her and Barry. They have a weird argument about who gifted them a train set and who should technically own it now.
That was my stepdad's.
No, that wasn't my parents gave that to us.
No.
It turns out Kim was right, and Barry got it confused with train set pieces his parents gave them years ago. They fill up a moving truck with stuff, and Kim heads back to her place with all of the kids. As the screen says, Ethan and Olivia return to Minnesota from their trips. This is the first time they are sitting down to speak about their marriage since returning home. This conversation was a hard one to watch. It's clear that I am Team Olivia, and this conversation sealed the deal for me. First, Ethan says this disrespectful shit.
To go back and try to mend your relationships with your family and try to get back to some of the roots and values that were instilled in you.
Oh, the cult she was raised in? The childhood that she is still very actively healing from? The one that told her she was nothing without a husband? Great idea, Ethan. Olivia also mentions that she was taught as a wife, it is her job to submit to her husband, cook him 3 meals a day, and praise God. She adds this phenomenal comment.
I don't think you understand the privilege you have to look at me and tell me I need to go back to that because it served you.
Ethan has a horrific reply.
The whole thing, cooking 3 meals a day, that is one of the only keys to a man's heart. When's the last time you cooked a meal?
Are you kidding me? He has got to be kidding. That is the $1 million question to your marriage coming to an end. That's the issue you're having right now. Oh my God. They move on to talk about Ethan not wanting to have kids with Olivia due to her beliefs.
There's just things I'm not okay with the children that I raise growing up to think and believe.
I'm the kid of 2 people whose principles matter more than a relationship with their daughter. And I will be damned if I repeat that.
They make the final decision, as we know, and decide to call it and get divorced.
No one can say we didn't give it a shot.
And that's season 5. Initially, while writing the script, I was going to mention how sad the end of the season was, but after thinking about it, I've changed my mind. Ethan and Olivia love each other. Their romantic love for one another died a long time ago. They are young and deserve to both be happy. Olivia, more so. No, I'm just kidding. All of that to say, I am happy for them. Ethan can go back to the family he spent the 4.5 seasons being hurt and appalled by, and Olivia can be free to be her own person. They both deserve their freedoms separate from each other. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and comment below your thoughts about this dramatic little TV show. Do you think there will be a season 6? Do you think Ethan and Olivia had to do the post-interview videos before they decided to get divorced on camera? I mean, they are wearing the same outfit and sitting on the same couch, so I was wondering that. Anyways, thanks for watching. Bye!